Hello everyone, Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo here for Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous. Today we're going to be talking about the Kruger Industries P-52 Merlin. Now to get to the Merlin in this hangar, we're going to walk past one of the only ships that's close to being in its class. Well, a ship in its own class, the M50 Interceptor / Formula One Racer. The M50 is just such a beautiful spacecraft, but it's much more capable and designed specifically to be the best in its class. The P-52 Merlin was designed specifically to be a snub-nosed fighter, to be carried by other spacecraft, for instance the Constellation, the 890 Jump, the Idris, etc., and to be able to provide point defense. And point defense isn't really a sustained combat role. It's a role where the fighter could be launched to be able to give some kind of defensive capabilities to stave off pirate attack, vandal strikes, etc. Getting right into the specifications, we can talk about the dimensions of the spacecraft. 12 meters in length, 7.7 meters in width, 2.2 meters in height, and it weighs in at just about 6 metric tons. This makes it the smallest fighter to date, but specifically it is not meant to be anything more than what it was designed for, and that's to be a part of a defensive system or defensive network for another ship. Take, for instance, the one that this was made for, the RSI Constellation. Constellation has turrets, it has missiles, and it has cannons. And also, it has this fighter that one of its crewmen could get into to launch and to help take out other spacecraft. Around the back, we can see the two Hammer Propulsion HM 4.1s. Now, they are loaded with TR1s in this ship, but it can handle up to a TR2 propulsion unit. So the main thrusters actually could be upgraded. Up here, it's a little bit too dark, and you can see the cooling units. And below it, you can also just barely make out the particular engine intakes. Now that is something that I want to discuss with you, but later on when we do the flight test. Right here in the nose, we could see what Kruger is known best for, and that's the Tiger Streak Gatling guns. We have two M3 lasers on the wings, which can be upgraded to quite a number of different weapons. Let's get inside of it and see what truly makes this different. To me, this has one of the most advanced cockpits to date, only coming in second place to the M50. As we get in, we see a full, rich area to sit in. There is kind of a lack of that feel of sophistication about it that you get, that luxury that you get when you sit inside the M50. But nonetheless, for something that's so much less expensive than an M50, it still pulls off the wow factor when you sit inside of it. That giant display is just amazing. Going to the outside, we can take a look at all the different areas that I didn't get to in the beginning. The wings are folded up right now, of course, to make for easily storing more units when you're on one of your Idrises or potentially an 890 Jump. The length of it is far outclassing the width, which isn't normal for the fighters that we have. The long nose would make it very difficult to see over, but the HUD heads-up display in this unit in particular shows you a holographic image of the different targets and nav points projected on the inside of your helmet, so you kind of see them on top of or through the instrument panel. Again, we're looking at the cooling units and what I will talk about later, the engine intakes. All in all, this is a beautiful spacecraft, and I can see many, many, many different forms of paint jobs being applied to it. So the first question I have is, how does she fly? So because she's supposed to be a racer, and there are a couple of things that really do worry me about that, I decided to take her out to the racetrack and give 3 or 4 or 5 laps a try to see if I can get the working of this ship down right without having to use boost so much. The reason I say that is that this ship, although it has air intakes or fuel intakes, does not intake any fuel. It does not capture any free hydrogen atoms to be used inside of the boost engines or for overpowering your maneuvering jets. It's kind of worrisome because inside of a race like this, to do some of those really cool moves and to use the shortcuts, you really do need the boost, and the M50 does have that. So this is the first time you're going to see me have an issue because I'm trying my best not to use boost. I kind of drifted into that particular condominium, I guess it was. Gave those people a scare, didn't I? Thank God that this is just a simulation and not real life. So we're going to go back up and try to turn back onto the course. So we're going to follow the course this way, which is going down this way. And we're going to see if we can get the course done without having any other major incidents. And I'll tell you this, that wasn't the case. I got better and better at this as time went on, and after 5 laps I still had about 20% of my boost left. So I believe that this will be able to compete in the races. I think it's going to mean having to be very, very easy on your throttle actions and using boost in minimal situations or very rare situations. It means you're going to have to be a better pilot. That's exactly what it means. But you can get this thing to turn around the track rather well. Now, we are flying with the two HM 4.1s, and of course, most of our racers will be fitted with much faster or more powerful main thrusters. If you look at the M50, it already comes with the maximum thruster, well, the maximum thruster we know about for now, which is the Hammer Propulsion HM 4.2s. 4.1s, 4.2s, put the 4.2s in this, I think you might have similar performance to that M50. It seems like they're looking for us to turn this type of race into a drift race, which really does, well, it is kind of fun. It's more fun than cutting in between the different, in between the different apartment buildings or buildings that there are. And of course I'm pulling negative G's here, and that is never a good thing. It's a surefire way in real life to kill yourself. Alright, let's get ourselves up over here. Never want to pop those capillaries in your eyeballs and in your brain. That's a bad thing to do. So this is a little bit about how the P-52 Merlin is going to be expected to fly inside of something like the Murray Cup racetrack. Alright folks, here I am still trying not to use that boost, and I'm using throttle instead. And like I said, there's only 3 mishaps I had in the 4 to 6 laps that I took. I think that if I played this for about 45 minutes and got used to it, I'd be able to compete very well in racing as long as I wasn't competing against M50s with this build. Let's jump out of here and let's go into Vandal's Swarm and see how she fights. Let's face it, fighting is a lot more fun than flying through hoops on a racetrack. Well, that's not always the case. I always have a great time flying inside of the Murray Cup racetracks. But there's just something about coming out here and showing the Vandal who's boss, and that's not exactly what I'm going to do here. Now this is probably going to become a more capable ship over time, but currently the flight model to me is a little bit twitchy, and of course even though before I jumped into the game I switched out the weapons, the M3s for the CF007 Badgers, it did not take, and I have to figure out why that was. There is a lot of redding out, there is a lot of blacking out inside of this ship. Control inputs and all sorts of things are still messed up at times, and I'm not sure if it's my X55 or if it's this build of Star Citizen. But there were opportunities during the shooting of this video and the next couple that for some reason targets just switched. I got kicked out of my ship or ejected out of my ship. I moved into external view, and that was just a little bit of a pain in the butt. Now here you see one of the new tactics that they're employing, I should say the Vandal employ when you're fighting them, and it's to fly from one end of the virtual space to the other, and just fly straight, and every now and then just turn around and shoot at you. Well, I find that a lot more interesting than the constant turning fights I get in Elite Dangerous, though I'm not knocking Elite Dangerous for those that like it. I'm just comparing the two different AI methods. But when you do have a ship that's evenly matched, like right now you don't have evenly matched ships, I don't find that I get that same AI. But we're not here talking about AI, we're talking about the Merlin, and I'm trying to show you it's tough right now and very twitchy, and I've played with my curves and my sensitivities and the whatnot with my X55, and it's still a very, very jerky and it's not a fun experience flying the Merlin currently inside of Vanduul Swarm, though it is an absolute fun ship to fly. That's kind of weird, right? Well, I don't expect us to have long duration battles with this particular ship. I expect it to launch from a constellation, your constellation's escorts, and this taking out whatever the heavy fighters are, and the point defense systems on the constellation Phoenix, or the ones that you can add on your own to the other constellations, taking out the fighters that are close by. This is going to be one of those ships that you're going to be glad that you have as part of that Constellation 890 or Idris package. But it's not going to be one of those ships that you enjoy to take out into Arena Commander until possibly there's some updates made to it. Some other discrepancies on this, again, I already talked about boost and how even though it has the scoops on it, it does not regenerate boost at all. And people say I'm being a little bit critical about that. You may be right, and I am always willing to learn. And I started to play this ship last night with my organization on our Sunday night get-together, and using it in a most unique way for me, but definitely not for other people, and that would be as a com stab off and coupling, decouple mode. And it actually worked very, very well. And I started to do extremely well inside of this match when I started to do that later. But still, my preliminary report on this is that it is a wonderful ship. It looks amazing. It's detailed. It's fun to fly. I just don't think that this is the one that you want to take to level 18 inside of the co-op Vanduul Swarms. Some of the benefits of this ship, besides how awesome it looks, if you load it out with different weapons like the CF007s or possibly whatever else you can load it out with the tier 1 weapons, it actually is going to be a very formidable fighter. You never have to take away the Tiger Streak cannon. It is that once you get the shields down, just pummel your opponent with as many shells as you can, and you'll almost always do enough damage to critically damage some parts, or potentially rip the ship apart and take it out. I'm very happy that I purchased the standalone version so I could see it in my hangar for you. It'll probably get melted and added to another package I have, but nonetheless, I'm glad that I'm an owner. I'm very happy to be an owner of a P-52 Merlin. And if you're taking a look at something new to purchase for $20 just to have some fun, whether it be in Free Flight, Co-op Vanduul Swarm, Capture the Core, or Battle Royale, or Squadron Battle, whatever's out right now, whatever fun that you're looking to have, I definitely support that. This is an amazing ship. If you don't want to buy it forever, remember it is available, I think for about 16,000 REC. I may be wrong about that. But it is available for you to buy inside of the REC store, or the Electronic Access REC store. And it is going to last you, I believe, for 7 days when you buy it. It's well worth the money just to have something different to fly. Well, this is Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo signing off and bringing you back to the rest of the show. Thanks for listening, and you all be safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon.